From the shop, folks. Let's change the battery. Let's change the battery in this phone. It needs it. From the shop, folks. Let's change the battery in this phone. Like I said, it's an old XS iPhone that I had laying around. I recently kind of torched my iPhone 12. I delaminated the motherboard by dropping a kettlebell on it, and I can't fix that. I've worked on most iPhones in the past. This black pouch, real quick, I had a buddy make me up that bit of kit. I really appreciate it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, like I was saying, I've worked on iPhones since the 3GS, changing screens, batteries, just, you know, broken button ribbons, whatever the case may be. So let's get started with this one. We're going to put this supposedly larger capacity battery in here. The current battery in this XS, it's old, it doesn't hold a charge, and it gets really hot when you when you tax it or try to charge it. So first things first, we got to get the screen off and pull these screws by the charge port out, and then start breaking free the screen from the adhesive. I put this screen on a number of years ago. It's actually an LCD screen rather than the OLED, the original screen from Apple. And as such, it's a lot more fragile. Really, any kind of tweaking it on the plane, like flexing the screen, will break it. I broke one trying to seat the original one on, so I'm gonna be overly cautious when I break this adhesive free. So I use the suction cup to try to make some space to get the little piece of plastic in there and wedge it. I don't use any metal pries to get in there. I am going to have to use a little heat, obviously here with the heat gun on a low setting, just to break a section of that adhesive, and then I'll start using here in a minute a little bit of alcohol with a little needle applicator to get in there and start breaking the adhesion. Really, this is the longest step in working on these iPhones, is breaking the screen free. It took a while when I did my 12, when I tried to fix it, discovered the motherboard, the two layers were delaminated. So I fiddled with this one for a while until I finally get a little room to start using that alcohol applicator to get some alcohol in there and start dissolving the adhesion. You just work it and work it slowly and safely, especially with this LCD screen. Like I said, I'll probably mention that a few times, but it definitely warrants it if you wind up having to use one of these screens. So I get enough to start getting this enough space to start getting one of these little pick looking wedges in, and like I said, overly cautious, just get in under the screen and start breaking that adhesion free until the screen is off. There we go. There's a couple, I think we got 3 cables coming from the screen on this particular phone, and they are under a metal plate that we need to take off to get to. This particular metal cover has 4 screws, and Apple is notorious, from my limited experience, in using different size screws. So if you put the wrong one in the wrong place, you can crack something, particularly the screen, when you try to seat it. Ask me how I've discovered that. So as I put them out, pull the screws out, I put them in the position with which they came out of, and then kind of knoll it when I get the metal plate off. Knoll everything in the proper position so they can go back in the correct spot in the end. Now that the screen's free, we spend a little time removing the adhesive from the previous installation and just verify that we do have the correct size battery, and then disconnect it from the board. Now, these batteries have an adhesive under them holding them to the back plate, and there is a tab that you can grab, and you're supposed to be able to pull on it and free the battery up. I haven't found a good way to grab these stock ones because this battery is the original. So I'm just putting a little bit of alcohol to start dissolving some of that adhesion, and then I'll get under and start prying it up. Again, just taking my time, not trying to bend or break anything, because I do want to use this phone in the end. Using a plastic pry bar, basically, just take your time. That alcohol really helps dissolve that adhesion. I know I've said that a few times, but I've recently watched other people do it, and it really does help. It makes the process a lot easier than it has been for me in the past. As we continue to work this battery free, just adding a little bit of pressure and a little more alcohol as we get to the bottom adhesives. Take a minute just to say, hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these, let me know. If you want to let me know how I'm doing it completely wrong, I'm always willing to learn. Let me know down below. Okay, we have the old battery free, and there is adhesive on that back plate that we need to just clean off. So I speed through that process. And we have the new adhesive that came with the new battery. Now, the manufacturer of this Amazon battery put the adhesive on the wrong side, and I did all I could just to get a little bit off of the plastic to use. This isn't going to be a long-term fix. I'm going to wind up getting a new phone when it comes out, but I did want something under there to kind of stabilize the battery. So I got what amount I could get off of the plastic to put under there. That's what you saw, that little bit of gray that I pointed at. Okay, so we have the battery in. It's not plugged up just yet. I'm going to reinstall the screen, or just re-plug the screen up and then plug in the power. Make sure everything is still working before we move on to the next steps. As for plugging in these little ribbon connectors, for me, I tend to use that plastic pick to get them in the right place and then seat it with my finger. I can feel the little click, and when it wants to go in its position better with my fingers. That's just the method that's worked for me in the past. Okay, so the screen's plugged up, battery's plugged up. Let's turn the phone back on, make sure she's still working. I'm gonna hide my code, but here you see that the phone is up and running, and we're ready to move on to the next steps and start permanently installing the screen back on. It's pretty much it. It's not a difficult process. As with anything, the most difficult part of it is getting started, just being willing to try. Realize it's not that difficult of a process, and in the end you'll be able to fix your own phones much cheaper and get it done within a few minutes, within an hour your first time. I remember taking apart my 4S, I think, every piece of that phone to fix the button ribbon cable, I believe it was. But anyway, just be willing to try. It's not that difficult. So now we're ready to get back rolling and permanently mount or permanently attach a screen. There's a bit of adhesive that comes with it to put back on around the perimeter, and that's pretty convenient with the little plastic. And this time, the company put the adhesive on the correct side of the plastic. So you line it up and just kind of seat it down and work it off. Take your time, make sure you don't peel it back up, and there you have it. The adhesive's there ready to go under in this case, the LCD screen. This is one of those times where it'd be nice to have 3, maybe 4 hands. So you kind of have to hold the screen. I don't want anything to touch that adhesive. I want it to stay strong. Put the metal cover back over all of those connections and work the screws in, making sure like I said, you put the screws in the correct place. The middle, I think the second screw down on this one was quite a bit longer than the others. So if it was in the wrong location, something would break when I try to seat that screen. So take your time, make sure everything goes back in the correct place. And again, knolling out the screws, basically putting them in the positions somewhere on your workspace, makes that an easy process. Okay, we believe we have everything reinstalled. Turn the phone back on, make sure everything's working before you snap that screen in over the adhesive and stick everything down. And again, since this is an LCD screen, I'm gonna make sure that I don't flex it because they crack fairly easily. Here's something new I learned through this process. Battery not recognized. You see that warning? So I believe it was after the 10, Apple put a chip on the battery, and they probably did this with a lot of the pieces in the phone, I guess. The individual part is registered to that phone. And there is a method that you can cut off that chip from the previous battery, solder it on to the new one, and it would recognize it. I don't feel the need to go through that with this one. I did save that part from the old battery in case I ever wanted to try it and just see how it goes. But just know that after the 10, changing the batteries will come with this warning. So you won't get the full battery health section of the phone where you can see all the life of the battery and everything. And you'll have that warning, that little red one up on the settings, I guess permanently. But the battery works, the phone works. You just won't have that added information if that's something you desire. And that's it. Put those 2 screws back in next to the power port and you're done. I think real time it might have taken me about half an hour to do the job. Thanks for watching. I hope maybe this offers some help. And don't be afraid to try new things. That's what it's all about. That's what we have our shops for. Enjoy, keep building, keep exploring. Have a great day.